Golem is a zombie, robot-like form that is created in the Jewish mystical tradition. It is similar to the idea of a voodoo doll, but a voodoo doll that has the capacity to be imbued with elemental forces, or even at times demonic forces. The golem, once imbued with certain life forces, would do the bidding of the magician who trapped these forces in the form to begin with. Often the golem would battle with individuals whom the magician perceived to be their enemy. The most famous golem is the Golem of Prague, and many esotericists liken the modern transhumanism movement to a modern-day practice of creating golems. The homunculus of alchemical lore is similar to the golem. Like the golem, the creation of the homunculus was also an attempt to create a human-like form that the magician could use to do their bidding. The same idea was also present in the occult belief that an individual could also summon a specific soul into a body or form through a particular magical rite. This can be seen with Aleister Crowley's Moonchild rite and the notorious Babylon working of NASA pioneer Jack Parsons and Scientology creator L. Ron Hubbard. The creation of the golem, or the homunculus, is an attempt to create life without the essence of the feminine, without the womb, and without the woman's egg. This practice can be seen in modern times as the creation of robots, transhuman forms, and even genetic manipulation, or hybridization. The desire to create form without the feminine, and without the power of the womb and the egg, is dangerous, and it will not liberate humanity, it will only destroy it. No forms can survive nor evolve unless they pass through the womb of the mother and incorporate the feminine principle. Are we repeating the same societal patterns as we did in Atlantis? According to Edgar Cayce, we are. Edgar Cayce was a famous psychic who was known for his prolific visions into the past and the future. One of his most fascinating series of readings was on the subject of Atlantis. Interestingly, according to Edgar Cayce, we are in a parallel period of development to Atlantis, repeating many of the same social patterns. One such pattern is the fascination with playing God, with transhumanism, genetic manipulation, and even the hybridization of forms. These strange forms that were created in Atlantis, according to Edgar Cayce, were called the Things and automatons. Edgar Cayce describes a disturbing pattern that took place in humanity's past during the Atlantean epoch. He describes a low point in the Atlantean age where humanity began to play God and create various forms through genetic engineering and modification. This created a great spiritual dilemma and a social burden, as these forms were unable to fully take on a soul and participate in society consciously and sovereignly. According to Cayce, highly advanced spiritual individuals had to assist these forms over time to allow them to enter the organic evolutionary stream of the earth and humanity. Techno-Spirituality is a burgeoning kind of esoteric belief that technologies can be incorporated into spiritual experiences and even human development. This is the religion of transhumanism, or the merging of human beings with machines and technologies. Techno-spiritual beliefs are materialist beliefs, and Transhumanism is simply the religion of the scientific materialist. The incorporation of technology and spiritual experience was deeply explored in the secret government program MK Ultra, where participants were forced into trance states and hooked up to machines. Esoterically, Techno-Spirituality, or the transhumanist religion, can be traced to the planet Mars, particularly the regressive Mars impulse. What is the regressive Mars impulse? It is the occult power and influence of Mars inverted or reversed, and manifesting at its worst in an individual or even a society. The regressive Mars impulse leads people to become fixated on technology, and over time, they believe that the future of humanity is to merge with the technologies they ritualistically create. As this ideology is fundamentally imbalanced, it ultimately leads to the destruction of the human form and even human consciousness.
When you watch somebody sitting in a room with maybe some goggles or maybe just with a screen all day, is he trapped inside this small room, or is he or she, liberated into the immaterial realm of cyberspace, of the metaverse? And this theological battle from 2,000 years ago is now becoming a real battle about how human life would look like in coming generations, and what is the role of our bodies. I mean, are they important in any way? Or is the point to kind of release our mind or our soul from this to exist in an immaterial realm?
Andrija Puharich is a controversial figure in spirituality and ufology. He was an MK Ultra doctor and was a prominent early proponent of techno-spirituality, or the use of technologies in spiritual and psychic processes. The controversy with Puharich lies in his interest in patenting and creating implants that could be placed in individuals' heads so that they would be able to pick up certain frequencies and messages in their mind, artificial frequencies and messages within their mind. Puharich went on to found one of the most influential groups in the New Age, the Nine, whose material can be found on Gaia, the History Channel, and many popular books.
This is our little device. That thing at the bottom is just to hold the threads in place, because they're just like little fine wires. I mean, frankly, to sort of simplify this, what we're, I mean, it's more complicated than this, but it's, in a lot of ways, it's kind of like a Fitbit in your skull with tiny wires. Our current prototype, version 0.9, has about 1,000 channels, so that's about 100 times better than the next best consumer device that's available. And it's a 23 millimeters by 8 millimeters. It actually fits quite nicely in your skull, because your skull is about 10 millimeters thick. So it fits, it goes flush with your skull, it's invisible, and all you can see afterwards is that there's a tiny scar. And if it's under your hair, you can't see it at all. In fact, I could have a Neuralink right now, and you wouldn't know. Anyway, so it's also inductively charged, so it's charged in the same way that you charge a smartwatch or a phone. And so you can use it all day, charge it at night, and have full functionality. So you would really, it would be completely seamless, and yeah, no wires. In terms of getting a link, so that, you need to have the device, a great device, and you also need to have a great robot that puts in the electrodes and does the surgery. So you want the surgery to be as automated and as possible, and the only way you can achieve the level of precision that's needed is with an advanced robot.
The alien god ideology is a popular New Age theory that states that alien beings from another planet created humanity. These alien beings allegedly achieved this creation of the Earth human through genetic engineering and hybridization. The aliens that did this are often called the Anunnaki, the Seeders, gods, or creator beings. In the alien god ideology, the practice of genetic engineering and hybridization is not only how human beings were created, but it is also how human beings are to spiritually evolve, meaning that human beings must be hybridized again with aliens to continue evolving. In the alien god ideology, human evolution ultimately occurs not through spiritual transmutation or interpersonal development, but through the genetic manipulation of human beings. The idea that humanity was created by aliens is untrue, backwards, and a destructive ideology. Why? Because the idea that human beings were created through genetic engineering or hybridization is a creation theory that does not properly include women, the womb, or the feminine. In the alien creator god ideology, the principal role of the feminine is removed entirely and replaced by alien scientists playing God. Without the feminine, there can be no creation nor evolution. This means that while part of humanity may have been genetically tampered with at various times, that tampering was not a creative process, but rather a destructive one. The Aldebaran Myth is an example of the alien god ideology. If you haven't heard of it, the Aldebaran Myth is the origin story of the Thule Society, or the occult order behind the Nazis. They allegedly believed that their superior alien ancestors came from a star system in the Taurus constellation called Aldebaran. Due to lack of spiritual development, they did not evolve with their fixed star, and thus came to our solar system, settling on a now extinct planet called Marduk, or Phaeton. They destroyed that planet as well and headed to Mars to start over again. Of course, that planet was ultimately destroyed, and these superior alien gods next came to civilize the Earth. The most reported abduction experience for decades has been the alien gray experience. This experience includes what look like deformed humans with advanced technology, abducting people to take genetic samples and even put implants into abductees to communicate with them or track them. The majority of experiences also include what many experiencers call the hybridization program. The hybridization program is where these gray humanoids try to merge their genetics with humanity's. While many people claim that these beings are from off-planet due to their shocking appearance, it is also entirely possible that they are technically another version of humanity. A version of humanity that took a wrong turn into transhumanism, genetic manipulation, to the point that their form became degenerated and unable to reproduce. This would explain why they use implant technology and why they desperately want to harvest human genetics before our civilization begins to destroy ourselves with transhumanism and excessive genetic modification. The controversial occultist Aleister Crowley had a deep spiritual connection to an entity that he called Lamb. Many believe that Lamb looks like a gray alien. Lamb's ultimate mission was channeled in Cairo, which means Mars or Camp of Mars in Arabic. Interestingly, like the gray aliens, Crowley was also interested in the degenerative Mars-based creation rites, as he was a main component in the Babylon working, a ceremonial rite that was designed to incarnate the goddess of Babylon into a golem or homunculus. Many occultists and researchers believe that Aleister Crowley's lamb was a gray alien, and that Crowley was really in contact with the gray alien presence that was seeking to harvest humanity from the lower astral plane. Lamb could not be identified as a gray alien because that term did not exist. In fact, mass abductions by these beings begins after Crowley's connection with Lamb. Some researchers even suggest that Crowley opened a portal to allow these beings in, and that his magical systems ultimately worship them. If Crowley was responsible for the official summoning of the gray aliens into our reality, it makes the names of the various programs that propagate the alien god ideology much more interesting. Why? Because a coded message or steganography may be present in the naming of these programs. Crowley's occult order was called AA, the same initials as Ancient Astronaut and Ancient Aliens, the two most popular programs that propagate the alien ideology today. The use of the symbol AA ritualistically allows spiritual forces or the personality of a certain group or organization to be carried from one project to another, or the egregore of one secret society to exist in various different projects. The Mars origin myth is the Aldebaran myth of the Nazis' Thule society, sanitized. Sanitized so it can be accepted by the masses as part of the coming alien god religion. It is called the Mars origin myth because, according to the secret societies behind the Third Reich, Mars was the last planet inhabited by the superhuman Aryan alien gods that civilized the Earth. The word Aldebaran could not be used, as many people were disgusted by the Nazis and their occult beliefs. So, in order to propagate their religious human origin mythos to humanity, they simply removed the Aldebaran part in the beginning and focused on the last leg of their journey, on Mars instead. A chimera is a hybrid creature that is a mixture of different kinds of forms. A chimera could be a human-animal mixture like we see with the Sphinx, or in the various depictions of lower astral creatures. Ancient chimeric images often have a higher meaning, representing a specific time or esoteric stream. In these images, the chimerical form is an allegory. It is representing a higher spiritual concept and is not an actual being. However, other depictions of chimeras perhaps tell a different story and represent a sect of dark Atlantean magicians trying to access higher wisdom through the actual physical creation of a chimera, a kind of ritual magic using DNA and the forces of creation. The obsession with hybridization, creating chimeras, and transhumanism does not begin in our epoch. It began in the Atlantean epoch. In the Atlantean epoch, a dark group of individuals formed a religious cult around the manipulation of our human form. Edgar Cayce called this group the Sons of Belial, and the famous esotericist Madame Blavatsky called this group the Lords of the Dark Face. While Atlantis fell into the sea some 11,000 years ago, that hybridization cult still exists, as we see the same impulse alive and well in the world around us today.